a drama based on the experiences of Egyiawan, a child soldier fighting in the civil war of an unnamed African country. Egyiawan, who is forced to join a group of soldiers in a fictional West African country. While Egyiawan fears his commander and many of the men around him, his fledgling childhood has been brutally shattered by the war raging through his country, and he is at first torn between conflicting revulsion and fascination. Depicts the mechanics of war and does not shy away from explicit, visceral detail, and paints a complex, difficult picture of Egyiawan as a child soldier. The dialogue in the screenplay is faithful and form to the novel, originally written in a lighter form of Nigerian Pidgin English known as Creole.
NDF!
Welcome to the Black Box, channel which is intended to help you better understand the movies. So, in this video, we will thoroughly explore the story of the movie, Beasts of No Nation 2015. This movie is guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat with their outstanding action sequences, stunning visuals, and gripping storylines. Consider adding these films to your must-watch list if you haven't had the chance to watch them yet. If you enjoyed this movie, don't hesitate to share it with friends who also have a passion for the adrenaline-pumping genre. Stay tuned until the end of the video, and share your favorite film with us in the comments. The movie begins with a group of kids playing while a voice of a kid narrates that their country is currently at war. The kid named Egyiawan sells a broken TV which he calls imaginary TV to a man, but he declines. Fortunately, he's able to sell it to a soldier. Egyiawan and his family are living in the buffer zone where it is safe from the war at the moment. At home, we see Egyiawan's family living peacefully. His mother takes care of him and his siblings, while his father, who was a teacher before the war, became the sector chief and helps the refugees that come to the buffer zone. One day, Egyiawan, with his brother and friends, block the road with a branch and ask drivers for money when a crazy old woman appears, scolds them, and calls them thieves. Back at home, Egyiawan's family is happily eating when his father notices his TV. It turns out that Egyiawan purposely breaks the TV to sell it. Egyiawan quickly runs and hides from his father. The next day, the current situation of the war is being broadcasted in the radio. Then we see trucks of soldiers arrive in their village. During a meeting, the majority decided that the women and children will flee to the city's capital, while men will stay to protect their properties. At home, Egyiawan's mother and father are arguing about the fleeing, while he and his older brother are playing a board game. The next day, the father arranges for his wife and young children to go to the city, but Egyiawan can't come. His father tries to bargain with the driver, but fails. Having no other choice, the father just promised his wife that they will find them when everything is done. In the end, Egyiawan, his father, brother, and grandfather are left in the village. Afterward, we see Egyiawan and his family evading bullets from a shootout happening. Fortunately, they manage to hide. Egyiawan's father is peeking outside, watching the rebels and government soldiers exchanging bullets. But he's surprised to see a cannon facing their direction. Upon hitting the place where they're hiding, others try to flee but get shot as soon as they open the door. Egyiawan and his family, along with the other men, surrender to the government soldiers. Outside, the forces round up the men and ask if they're affiliated with the rebels, which Egyiawan's father quickly denies.
We are from this house.
Egyiawan's father introduces himself as the sector chief and says they are just ordinary citizens protecting their properties.
You are native defense forces, No. I am the section chief. We are trying to stop the looters.
But the soldier calls on the crazy old woman and asks if she knows the men, to which she responds that she didn't. She also adds that they are probably rebels. Egyiawan's father tries to reason and tell the soldiers that the woman is crazy, but the soldier sentences them that they are enemy spies and executes them. Egyiawan and his brother quickly run, as per their father's order, while he's shot along with other men. Unfortunately, Egyiawan's brother is also killed during their escape, and Egyiawan is the only survivor. He continues to escape through the bushes where he spent days of walking and running away. One day, he sees a kid and immediately follows him, but it's already gone. Afterward, we see Egyiawan caught up in a shootout and he's attacked by the kid he saw before. Other men show up and turn out to be the Native Defense Forces, or the NDF soldiers. They capture Egyiawan, thinking that he's one of the enemies. Then, the man known as the Commandant, the leader of the NDF, arrives and asks about Egu. He asks who brought him, to which another child soldier named Strika responds that he does. Commandant then asks Egu what he's doing there, to which Egu responds by telling him what happened to his family. The Commandant asks him to say his name proudly and decides he will join NDF. He will train along with the others.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
Yes, sir!
Yes, sir!
Afterward, they march back to their camp.
Move out. Move it. Quick, quick, quick.
At the camp, everyone pays their respect to the Commandant. Meanwhile, Egu is given to another soldier to train. Later, we see him with other soldiers, but he's the only one not eating. He asks for some food, but a soldier tells him that only soldiers can eat. Then, we hear the Commandant calls on Strika. The scene changes to Egu starting his training. He's also praying to God to see his mother. As 2IC says that the NDF is winning the war little by little, we see them being lectured by another soldier about their rights and how the enemies are taking it from them. Afterward, we see Egu, along with other children, become formally part of the NDF after undergoing training, a ritual for blessing and initiation.
The enemy, you are invincible. The spirits have blessed you.
Then, the Commandant orders them to clear the area as they're about to move out.
Body down! All of it!
The next day, they go on an ambush mission on a bridge. Waiting for the right timing, they successfully ambush the enemies. The Commandant then calls on Egu and orders him to kill a man that they've captured. The man begs and says he's just a student, but the Commandant hits him. Egu is hesitant to kill the man, but with the Commandant's provoking, he hacks the man's head with a machete. The Commandant then orders Strika to help Egu, and the two hack the man to death.
God, I have killed a man. It is the worst sin.
Afterward, the Commandant orders 2IC to give Egu a gun. Upon receiving it, Egu falls on his knees and throws up. Later, Strika approaches Egu and gives him to scavenge clothes from the dead enemies. Egu tries to talk to him, but he's not talking. Strika is only responding using body language. The scene changes to the Commandant talking to his men about the food and women in the place that they will go when a soldier brings refugees. He tells the others that the enemies already captured the town of the refugees. The next day, we see 2IC's unit leading and taking back a bridge. He asks for backup from the Commandant, but he only emphasizes the importance of 2IC's mission.
We will reapply pressure and push for the bridge. Over.
He then calls on Egu and lets him watch the battle using a gun scope.
I go and Strika.
Yes, sir!
Afterward, they charge into the field, fighting. Night falls. Strika brings Egu to the Commandant, where he praises Egu's performance. He then tells Egu that he reminds him of his younger self. He also talks about the importance of being a good follower to become a good leader. Afterward, he calls Egu into his room where he sniffs a burnt gunpowder and lay down. As he orders Egu to kneel, the scene is cut outside the room.
You're doing this thing for me.
The next day, Egu seems out of focus. A soldier notices it and gives him something called brown, which makes Egu high. Afterward, the Commandant tells them that the next village they will go to is full of enemies. As they move out, vans of the United Nations drives past them. Then, we see Egu and other soldiers arrive at the village and shoot everyone on sight. Later, they enter a building and find a woman and child hiding. Egu quickly hugs the woman, thinking that it's his mother, but it isn't. Meanwhile, Strika drags the child outside. Realizing that the woman is not his mother, he quickly lets go and calls her a witch. Outside, he sees Strika and others beating the kid. Asking if God is watching him, Egu shoots the woman in the head who's being raped by other soldiers. The scene changes to the Commandant watching his men putting grenades on enemies' mouths when he receives a letter from the Supreme Commander Dada Goodblood. The Supreme Commander is calling for them. As they are about to leave, the grenades explode. He then tells a soldier to leave one civilian alive to warn other villages that they are coming. He also tells them that Egyiawan and Strika will be part of the squad from there on. Afterward, we see the Commandant and his squad are greeted by the deputy. He leads them into a waiting area where another foreigner is waiting to talk to Supreme Commander Goodblood. After some time, the deputy calls on the foreign first, and it took a long while before they're called on, pissing the Commandant. The deputy apologizes and leads them to a room where they fell asleep waiting. The next day, Supreme Commander Goodblood calls them and orders Commandant's men to eat while the Commandant and 2IC stay. Supreme Commander Goodblood talks about the changes in the situation of the war. He then promotes the Commandant to Deputy Chief of Security while his battalion will be under 2IC. 2IC is thanking the Supreme Commander when the Commandant cuts him off and tells him to leave. When the Commandant is alone with Supreme Commander Goodblood, he confronts him of the changes that are happening. The Supreme Commander then reveals that the war is being known outside their country, and with the United Nations involvement, it has become a battle for public image. The Commandant is not in favor of the changes, but Supreme Commander Goodblood reminds him that he is a soldier and it is his duty to obey. In the end, the Commandant leaves, saying that he still has one more night with his men.
Move out! Move out!
The scene changes to the Commandant and his battalion arriving at his old friend, Mama's place where they drink and have women. He wants to celebrate his and 2IC's promotion, but he's sounded otherwise. 2IC asks permission to leave because he wants to check the other units, but the Commandant declines.
You will be staying here so we can celebrate you. In fact, Mama, I want you to bring a special one for my 2IC.
Then, as the men leave with their women, Egyiawan and Strika are left to drink. After some time, Strika falls asleep, but Egyiawan is eyeing a young woman, but she's not interested in him. Suddenly, they hear a gunshot and are surprised when their comrades bring out 2IC with a gunshot. It turns out that the woman with him accidentally shoots him while playing with his gun. This makes the Commandant angry. The woman tries to flee, but Egyiawan quickly shoots her as Strika shoots Mama. The scene changes to Egyiawan sniffing burnt gunpowder. He then checks on 2IC, which tells him that everything they have done is for nothing. Afterward, we hear on a radio that everyone is looking for their unit. The Commandant calls on Egyiawan, and Egyiawan takes the chance to tell him that 2IC is dear. Later, the battalion prays over 2IC's dead body. The Commandant then tells his men that even the Supreme Commander Goodblood is not their enemy, and they will have to take their territory by themselves. The battalion moves out, and as they leave 2IC's dead body eaten by worms, Egyiawan realizes that the only escape in this war is through death. At night, while resting, they are awakened by missile attacks, killing their comrades. When morning comes, they continue moving, but Strika didn't want to go. Egyiawan checks on him and discovers that he is shot. Egyiawan then carries Strika, even though he himself is tired. Later, Egyiawan tries to talk to Strika, but he finds out that he's already dead.
Strika! 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 Strika!
Although grieving for the death of his friend, Egyiawan has no other choice but to continue moving. Then, the scene changes to Egyiawan being ordered by a soldier to get ammo. Realizing that they don't have any ammo left, he goes to the Commandant and notifies him. Meanwhile, the new 2IC also approaches the Commandant and tells him that they want to leave. Asking other soldiers if they want to leave, the new 2IC points out that it's been months and they already run out of bullets, food, water, and money. It turns out that other soldiers want to leave as well, but the Commandant points out that they have no life outside the war. Heated, the new 2IC points his gun at the Commandant, but he knew he doesn't have bullets anymore. Suddenly, Egyiawan points his gun to the Commandant. He then asks Egyiawan if he wants to surrender as well, to which he says yes.
Yes.
Pissed, the Commandant tells them to leave, but confidently assures them that they'll come back to him after they realize that they made the wrong decision. Thinking that Egyiawan will stay with him, the Commandant is surprised to see Egyiawan walking away with other soldiers. Then, we see Egyiawan and the others surrendering. Egyiawan, along with other young soldiers, are sent to a missionary school where they're being counseled. However, Egyiawan is having a hard time joining other kids and playing and is experiencing nightmares.
And I am knowing the feeling of the brown and jamba in my blood.
Then, Preacher and Randy, Egyiawan's comrades from the NDF, run away and rejoin the war after realizing that the Commandant's words are right. The next day, Amy, a counselor, talks to Egyiawan and convinces him to open up. But Egyiawan is afraid that if he tells her what he experienced and what he did, he will look at him as sort of a beast. Instead, he starts telling her about his family. Egyiawan finally joining other kids for a swim and finally having fun. And the movie ends. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you next time.